All right, welcome back, guys. Today we've got a special video talking about a brand new prototype from Oden Customs. He also recently introduced these leather, it's not a zippered pouch, but a leather pouch that comes with every knife. And I talked about it when I did the video a couple of days ago of this guy. And we're going to put this off to the side for just a minute. But you can see how the leather wears differently. This one's basically brand new from the prototype. Went from Oden's shop to my house, and that's it. This one went from Oden's shop to the original owner and now back out. So it's just worn different, and you're going to get some color variations. Even the stamping is a little bit different from case to case, if you will. So I just wanted to point that out because I mentioned that I would do that in this video. So here we are to talk about the Sine Elite prototype, and here's some information about it. It's also brand new, and Oden Customs. So I know that there's a couple of people that are very anxious for this video to come out. One is Anthony, the owner of both of these knives now. And the other one is Kyle, the owner of Oden Custom. He went out on a limb. He went outside of the box to make this knife. People had asked him for a flipper version for a while, and they asked for a bigger knife. These are kind of his normal sized knives in this size range. You know, and just for some reference, here's a Sharpie, just kind of out there hanging out for a minute. So he went bigger. This is not a small knife, and we're going to talk about all the specs and my opinions on this. It's a big knife. Let's just start with the specs, and then we'll get into some of my thoughts. That way, those of you that don't care about my thoughts, you can bounce off in a minute. It is 5 3/4 closed. So it is just a hair bigger than a Sharpie. Closed for your pocket. Okay. Overall, you do have a thumb stud and a flipper tab, and we're going to talk about both. Overall, you have 10 1/8. That gives you 4.29 inches of Magna Cut awesomeness. If you're buying into the whole Magna Cut is awesome, and maybe you're not, but whatever. That gives you 4.29 inches of blade length, which gives you just a hair over 4 inches of actual cutting edge. That's crazy. It is a compound grind, so you have a not a full flat grind. You have a flat grind here and a hollow grind here. Your flat grind is 0.026 behind the edge, so your tip is not wimpy. You have a lot of strength here for penetrating whatever material you are trying to penetrate. Then, as you get to the hollow ground recurve, you're going to drop down to 0.014 behind the edge, so you can do some fine cutting and slicing with that part of the blade. The blade thickness is 0.160 overall. The overall thickness of the knife, not including the clip, is just a hair under ½ inch. It's 0.496. Does run on bearings, and it weighs in at 7.9 ounces. So it's not a lightweight by any means. But let's just hold it up next to, and we'll do some other size comparisons later at the end like we normally do. But just to give you a good sense as we're talking about it, you can kind of tell, is this even in your realm right now? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So for me, it certainly is. I've carried this a bit. Anthony is a good friend of mine and said, yes, please carry it, use it, do whatever you want. He's totally cool like that and lets me truly handle and use his knives before I send them back. Has a Mokutai clip here, which works really well, despite the fact that there's like no ramp on the bottom on the deploying edge. So it goes into your pocket really easy with that nice ramp there, but it's just a hard edge here. And I've mentioned that before. Here is the other one that has a slight ramp. I always want a little more ramp. I was surprised that this worked so well in my pocket, to be honest. But it is rather long, and there is a good amount of flex to it, so it does work well. I would like to see more of a ramp on all of Oden's knives, as well as on most every knife. The flipper tab, this is really why I wanted to check out this knife, because I didn't understand it. It was very odd looking to me. And if I zoom out here, let's utilize the flipper tab. So you're really just going to push in. It takes a little getting used to. And again, this is a prototype. It works most of the time. If you just really don't have any wrist or any movement, you're going to have it will work sometimes, but not consistently. So it does take a little bit of wrist, and you got it. It's good. It's solid. The lockup is like absolutely solid. But yes, you need a little bit of wrist, or a little bit of movement, or a little bit of angle. If you want to angle it down, and let gravity help, sure. Overall, I would like a little bit stronger detent on this model. Because even with the thumb stud, it's a little bit light in my mind. Now, already talked to Kyle about this. I didn't give him an advance notice of this video. I mean, he knows I'm doing a video, but he hasn't seen it. We didn't talk about everything, but I did mention the flipper tab, and he already is redesigning that a little bit because he wasn't super happy with the finished product. But being as it was a prototype, that's what happens. Like that's just what you get. So he is making some changes. I don't know exactly what those changes are. But it's not going to end up being a traditional flipper tab. And the Kubi was the first thing I could grab. Here is a Sharknivko. So this one might be a little bit better representation just because it's very similar looking finish. You're not going to get a tab that sticks out, as a Nick Shabazz coined term, pocket pecker. It will be still a push button-ish type thing that is kind of recessed in here, which I think is very cool. It's different. That is really one of the reasons why I was hoping I would get to see this. And I'd asked, Oden actually did an auction, like a live auction for this knife. And Anthony just happened to win because he really wanted it also. He's probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, the world's biggest Oden knife collector. So I'm happy I got to see it, but I had also talked to Oden, if somebody else had won, about asking them if they would send it to me also. Yeah, I'm glad that I have that kind of relationship with Oden, to be able to talk about those things and be able to see things and get the word out. So I just prefer the thumb stud. I'm kind of moving away from flipper tabs, maybe. Not really away from. I just really appreciate a thumb stud. So let's give you a quick zoom in of the whole knife. Obviously, it's a hand ground blade because Oden is a one-man band. He has barked the titanium scales, blackened tie hardware. It's just a lovely looking knife. There's a little texture with your nail, but with your finger, you're really not feeling any of that texture. But I don't think this knife needs a lot of texture and grip. Titanium backspacer. Mokutai clip, as we talked about before. right in here, it's pretty comfortable. You're not really getting hung up on that cutouts, which is nice. He does not do a steel lock bar insert, which is okay. This one has a tiny hint of lock stick here and there. If you really hard open it with a lot of wrist and you fly it open, it might get a little hung up. I have noticed that the lock bar cutout does seem a little large here, but that's, I don't, here's another frame lock here just to see. Maybe it's fine. Like, it's fine. It works great, but it is a little bit bigger than maybe I'm used to seeing, but that does not mean that it's a bad thing. No markings on the blade. I love that. It doesn't need any markings on the blade. He typically doesn't put markings on his blades, regardless of being a prototype or not. There is, I don't believe there's any milling on the inside. Nope. No milling on the inside. He didn't even mark this one as a prototype. That might have been something cool. Just as a future note, Kyle. But all in all, it's pretty cool. It's a little bit big. Okay? I mean, I can't lie. Here it is next to the Sharknivko Ryu, since I pulled that out. And some of you may or may not be familiar with this knife, and that's okay. We did it next to the Sharpie already. Here it is with the Spyderco Delica. My VC Edge interface. How about a custom Hellraiser, which people think also is already a big knife? It really dwarfs it. I can pull this other normal Sine recurve into the picture also. The North Arm Skaha, since I have it here on the table as well. So it is not for the faint of heart, knife carrier enthusiast, whatnot. It is for a hardcore guy. I know my buddy Mike down in Australia is instantly going to love this because it's Magna Cut. Sure. Okay. It is super sharp. It works really well. I have zero complaints other than the flipper tab, I think, is really it. And what I mentioned about the pocket clip, but it works perfectly well. So that's really, that ramp is just in my head. All in all, I think you nailed it. I think it needs a little bit of refinement with the detent strength and the flipper tab, and you're going to be good to go. And guys, Kyle is a one-man band custom knife maker. I will put a link to his website down below. He's easy to find on Instagram, Facebook. He has a Facebook group. I'll try to link that down below. And his books are always, I don't know, I'm not going to say they're always open. He's super approachable. Reach out to him and he can make you anything you want. And that's what he really specializes in. He doesn't make a bunch and just sell, hey, here's 10 knives ready to sell. No, he makes some that he likes and he sells them. He makes stuff that customers want in the materials that they like this one with Baker Forged Damascus and camo carbon scales with, copper accents. Like, he can just do what you want. So please reach out to him if you have any interest in his design. I will also link up in the corner here my Oden custom playlist, so you can go see all of the knives that I have done. He's done some fixed blades and folders, and he's just a heck of a nice guy. So thanks for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow.